I want to talk about a move that apparently the Dodgers almost made. Devin Williams, who got traded to the Yankees earlier this week, when he was talking to the media, he said this, quote, "I kind of thought I'd be going to LA." He said that's what he was being told. There have been reports that Gavin Lux was part of conversations as it relates to Devin Williams. Of course, they end up going with a second base prospect from the Yankees, as well as Nestor Cortez, the starting pitcher. What do you make of, I mean, clearly this wasn't just a rumor, but if people close to Devin Williams are telling him that he might be headed to LA, clearly this got fairly far down the road before the Yankees swooped in.
Yeah, at least far enough that they thought that there was something real there with the Dodgers, because otherwise his agent probably doesn't tell him that.
Yeah.
Or lead him to believe that. That was, when I saw it, it was a little disappointing because he was a guy I wanted. We had talked about it before. Yeah. I still have a ton of trust in this front office, obviously. And so, for them, not making the offer that was going to win Devin Williams, I'm okay with that, because I still think that they have something going on that is going to improve that bullpen, whether it's another trade for a big name that we're just kind of blind about right now, or if it's Tanner Scott or something like that. I have confidence that they're going to still improve this bullpen. But yeah, when he went to the Yankees and that news was announced, I was like, that kind of sucks. Oh, well. And then when I heard that, I was like, really?
Yeah.
Like, we were that close and we didn't get him, but again,
what's interesting is what cost the Dodgers, right? Like what we don't know is, well, why didn't he end up in LA? Like, was Gavin Lux not enough for the Brewers? Blake Williams on DodgerBlue.com, when he was writing about this, he kind of speculated, like, if they really wanted a guy like Nestor Cortez, is it possible they were asking for Gavin Lux and somebody like a Tony Gonsolin, which to me is like, would have been way too much personally. Is it possible the Dodgers balked at including Gavin Lux, or they had different valuations on a guy like Gavin Lux? Like, there's so many scenarios here, but what we do know is, to your point, this got far enough down the road that Williams was told, hey, this might be happening. So clearly they were in the same ballpark. It wasn't like one call here, one call there, and then the conversation was over. This was multiple discussions, and it neared the finish line.
I'll say this too, for it to get far enough down the line that whether it be his agent or the front office in Milwaukee was telling Devin Williams, like, hey, it's kind of looking like this.
Yeah.
And they will keep a guy, especially when he's sort of been there for a while and he's kind of one of their star players. They will keep him informed in that way, like they'll do him a solid. So, whether it was being relayed to the agent or straight from the front office, there was a sense there that the Dodgers' last offer, let's say, was enough that it could get this over the line. And maybe the Yankees came in with something they just liked better. And so it may not necessarily have been that the Dodgers were withholding anyone until that 11th hour when they said, hey, we have this deal for the Yankees. You now have to include whatever, Gonsolin or something like that. And they said no. So, it may have been that they were putting Lux out there, or they were making someone else who is a big name for the fan base as the centerpiece of this deal. And it just didn't get it done compared to what the Yankees offered.
Yeah, I mean, if the final offer, as a guy in your case who wanted Devin Williams, was interested, I mean, would Lux and Gonsolin have been too much for you?
It feels like a lot there for that, because and
again, I want to clarify, because a lot of times people just hear names and it's like, well, that guy's better than those two. Devin Williams, 1 year remaining, coming off an injury last year. Gavin Lux, 2 years of team control remaining. Tony Gonsolin, I'm blanking, but at least a couple years of team control remaining as well. So it's not just two guys on a 1 year deal for one guy on a 1 year deal. You've got to factor in some other things.
And two guys who they expect probably to be starters on this roster. Lux obviously got second base, and I find it hard to believe that Gonsolin's not going to find a spot in the rotation in some way. Given the way they kind of like to bounce things around and juggle that rotation, it feels like he's going to be a significant part of the pitching going forward. So I think to put both those guys in the deal like that, again, we don't know that this was the offer, but we're just kind of talking here.
Trying to match up, because they went and got a starting pitcher and a second baseman. These would have been sort of quote unquote comparables.
Right. And so, yeah, it feels like a lot, because the second baseman they did get was we don't
hasn't
know
played in the
what's
major
going to
leagues.
happen there. And we kind of know, what Lux can be, it has been when he's been good. We know what he looks like when he's been bad, but, all of that's to say, like, that probably would have been a lot for a reliever on a 1 year sort of rental contract.
Yeah, and keep in mind, they could go out and just and I know people are going to say, well, they could have extended Devin Williams, and then it's not a 1 year deal, but then just go sign Tanner Scott. Go give that money
Right.
to the guy who's a free agent that doesn't cost you your starting second baseman and your sixth or seventh best starting pitcher on opening day, who in one season after your sixth and seventh starting pitcher become very important pieces. So again, Devin Williams, again, it was clearly close. Blake has reported through some sources that Gavin Lux and Hunter Fiducia were part of conversations involving Devin Williams. Again, that's all we know. We don't know if that was the offer and it wasn't enough, if the Dodgers weren't interested in that, if they asked for more, etc. But Devin Williams thought he might be a Dodger. Turns out he ended up not being.
We also know that this front office does not like to spend big, whether it be prospect capital or monetarily, on relief pitching.
Yeah. And they definitely don't want to do both. They don't want to give up prospect capital and then go pay a guy big money either.
Correct. So, like I said, I have no doubt there's other things in the works bubbling when it comes to the bullpen. Could be Tanner Scott. And with the understanding that they have been stingy when it comes to paying relievers, but maybe they think he is one of those guys, or there's another trade that, like I said, that we just don't know about at the moment.
Totally. All right.